Well, hello, greetings, my friends. This is the New Thought Media Network. I'm Ken Ludwig, and you're watching the Vibrant Living Hour. Hope this Thursday finds you happy, healthy, and just enjoying life. Hope it's a fabulous day. It's a beautiful day here in Colorado. We're in the 90-degree range. Actually, I just looked at my computer. It says 96. That's hot. That's what that is. I'm not sure that is beautiful, but it's beautiful where I am. My office is in the lower level of our house, and it's the coolest place in the entire building. So it's pretty good for me. I love it. So the subjects. I think today we'll start off like we have been starting off. We'll start off with my updates on my physical health, because I'm working on some things that I have been keeping all of you abreast of, so that you can see what things I might be dealing with, and as I'm dealing with them, give you some ideas of what I'm doing to make that dealing easier, to mitigate whatever it is that is an issue. So, and the things we've been talking about. Hi, Cheryl. I'm glad you joined us today. Thank you very much. The things I've been talking about are I have been having an issue with some degenerative discs in my back, and I have been having an issue with sciatica. What we've been talking about is the things that I can do to just make that different, to make it better. To Charmaine, hi there, darling. How are you today? I'm glad to see you with us. The subjects have been, what am I doing to take control of my health? First thing is, I'm not owning any of this, and what I mean by that is I'm not saying I have blah blah blah. All right, what I am saying is I'm experiencing this degenerative disc disease, and I really want to qualify that. That's the name of it, and even if you Google DDD, you're going to get degenerative disc disease. It's not a disease, and I don't know why it's listed as such. My doctor even explained that to me. It's not really a disease. It's an age-related deterioration. There's my beloved Lisa. Thanks for joining us, darling. It's age-related or injury-related or abuse-related, but the truth is that it's something I believe I'm in charge of. It's my physical body, and I think that anything that's going on in here, to some degree, maybe not 100%, but to some degree, I'm in charge. Now, I have referenced many times the my source material when I first got this. I don't even want to say diagnoses. I want to say when I first got this news that this was going on in my spine. I immediately flashed to a book I read many, many years ago by someone who is kind of someone I have known in the past. I don't know if he'd even recognize me now, but also someone whose example of taking control of your body I took very seriously and have followed pretty closely in my life. His name is Dr. Joe Dispenza. He just goes by Joe Dispenza in his books. And the first book that he wrote was called Evolve Your Brain. And in Evolve Your Brain, in the very early part of the book, from pages 15 to 30, he describes a catastrophic accident he had while doing a triathlon, and the bicycle portion coming around a turn where somebody was supposed to be directing traffic, and evidently there was a miscue, and Joe got hit by an SUV going 50 miles an hour that tossed him 25 feet in the air. And bottom line was, when all the smoke cleared, he had crushed basically his spine from L5, which is the anything below L5 is your sacrum, your sacral vertebrae, and those are really fused together. So L5 is the lowest one that is flexible, if you will, all the way up to T8, which is your thoracic spine. It's about halfway up your thoracic spine. So basically, there's 12 thoracic vertebrae. So he crushed from T8 to T12 and from L1 to L5. So do the math. That's 10 vertebrae. Okay, and he was told all kinds of things about, he would never walk again if he didn't have an operation. There were rods in his back, blah, blah, blah. Bottom line was, Joe checked himself out of the hospital, and 10 weeks later he was walking. 12 weeks later he was seeing chiropractic patients in his clinic. So I went and I read that, and I read further into it and what Joe did to mend his back, basically. And it is very much a meditative process. It's a nutritional process. It is a hydration process. It's a big deal because your vertebrae, believe it or not, the discs between them are very, very, very very, what's the words? They're moisture centric. How's that? They're filled with water. But it's not, that sounds like a waterbed. They are very, 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 they're very water centric. I don't know the words aren't coming to me. But the bottom line on that is that your vertebrae rehydrate during sleep at night. They replenish the water within them, or that's part of them, during the course of the night. So those are the core pieces, and I have been working on that for now. I guess it's going on like 6 weeks or 8 weeks that I've been working on that. And the other piece was the sciatica, that's kind of a function of all of that, because your sciatic nerve is really several nerves that come together at the base of your spine and go through your pelvis and go either over, under, or through a muscle that's known as the piriformis muscle. And if there's any constriction of that, you get pain, you get inflammation, and you get pain. And let me tell you, the pain can be off the charts serious. So here's where we're at. And I don't want to repeat the entire story every single week for you, but for those of you who are following, I hope that this makes sense. The original pain was not, the sciatica was the bigger pain than the back was. But I have spent a lot of time in meditation. I've spent a lot of time paying attention to what I'm eating, things that are good for the discs. Believe it or not, things like berries are great for disc health. There's a whole bunch of things. Calcium, of course. There's lots of other things that benefit the structure of your discs. But basically focusing on loving my discs and loving them back into rehydration and regeneration. My pain, my flexibility is a fraction. Well, my pain is a fraction of what it was. And my flexibility is almost entirely returned, I think, actually. Although I have to admit that sometimes you make a motion and you can feel that your back is going, don't go any farther than that. So that's part and parcel of it. I don't know that I'll ever get past that piece, but I really feel very, very good, and I feel very blessed to have at least have had the tools available to me that I could embrace to make things better. The sciatica improves with the ability to stretch and do yoga and do exercises that strengthen my back and strengthen my core. That has been my focus. But before that all started, some of you will remember that I had so much pain in my right side, in my right sciatic nerve, that I could not get my right foot up close enough to my body to put a sock on it. And that was just pain. I mean, my body wouldn't go any farther than that. And I basically went to CBD. And CBD, for all intents and purposes, what the CBD did was relieve the pain to the point where I could then exercise and take care and do the things that I needed to do, the stretching and so forth, to mitigate the pain. 100% worked. I'm probably, it's the sciatic it's an interesting piece of the puzzle, because it comes and it goes. But it is if when I couldn't get the sock on my foot, if the pain level was a 9, my pain never gets past a 2 or a 3 right now. And most of the time I would think it's really more like a 1 or a 2. So that's the update on my back. A work in progress. I think it's something that a lot of people deal with. I actually have a really good friend who is very, very physically fit, incredibly active, and she's going to be, let me think for a second here. She's going to be like 19 years younger than me, or 18 years younger than me. She's in her early 50s, and she has the degenerative disc issue as well. So it can come from many different sources. I think for some people, it's just part of how your body's going to deteriorate. And I think it's important to recognize that everybody's body is going to deteriorate to some degree or another. The question is, what can we do to prevent the progression of that deterioration, and what can we do to be proactive around just completely denying that some degeneration is going to go on in some areas of our body. And we'll talk about some of that stuff later. We spend a lot of time here on the physical, because vibrant living, to me, it's mental, emotional, spiritual, and physical. But the physical piece it's the piece you can't ignore. It's the piece that we all have little tricks or defenses that we've taught ourselves for our mental, emotional, and spiritual health. But the physical health, I think, is something that in this country goes by and large just completely ignored. And you can evidence that by the condition of the people of America, which is not necessarily as good as it could be. Um, the other piece of my journey with the back pain and the sciatica was discovering that my CBD also worked for my seasonal allergies. Now I have to be really honest with you. I was like so proud of myself. I went 5 weeks, I think, without having any over-the-counter allergy medication, any antihistamines. But this past week, the pine pollen has been insane, and I've had to, I think I've taken like 4 or 5 or maybe even 6 allergy pills in the last 4 days or 5 days, because the what I've discovered over the last couple of years is that pine pollen is the pollen that I am absolutely the most sensitive to, and when it is at its peak, I'm sneezing and sniffling and even coughing, and the runny nose is like a never-ending thing. So I had to do some of that. But by and large, other than taking 1 or 2 of those a day, if I'm in the house, if I'm going to bed at night, the CBD still does the job for me and prevents me from suffering from the allergies. So we talk about all those things. Okay, I have seasonal allergies. I'm experiencing these issues with my back and with my sciatica. And what I want to say to you is that I think it's important, no matter what age you are, whether you're in your teens, your 20s, or you're in your 70s like me, what you really have to be clear on, aware of, is to absolutely acknowledge the realities of your life. We all have our limitations. Everyone has their limitations in one way, shape, or form. And while you're acknowledging those realities, at the same time, you want to look to maximize the opportunities to enjoy life, the opportunities to live vibrantly, to age vibrantly, to just always feel that you are living your your healthiest, your strongest, your best, and you're going to do that as long as you possibly can. You're going to do that until you're going to embrace my new favorite expression, depressed. Yeah, not depressed, compressed morbidity, which is the idea that we will be as active as we can possibly be until the day that we just go boom. And the story I tell comes from this book that I've been reading. It's really you guys who have heard me talk about being a painfully slow reader, you'll maybe understand this. I've been reading this book for a long time, but I usually only just read a chapter at a time, and I read it at night. It's called Growing Bolder, and I love this book. It's written by a guy named Mark Middleton. It's a fabulous book. It's really it's a guide for vibrant aging, vibrant living, and vibrant aging. But he talks about compressed morbidity, and in the I like to tell the one story, and I'm not sure I have this gentleman's age is correct, but they interviewed thousands of people, elderly people primarily, and many centenarians and nonagenarians. And if you don't know what that is, that's 100-year-olds and 90-year-olds. And they had a guy who was in his mid 90s, who was a world champion bicyclist in his age group, and they had an interview set up with him. And his interview was supposed to be short, like within a week after he had just won a bicycle race, and he was like 95 or 97, something like that. But before he could get to the interview, he dropped dead. That's compressed morbidity. Doing what you love, actively pursuing what you love, physically active, vibrant, healthy, strong, until you just drop dead, until the end. As opposed to, it always occurs to me that this is kind of the American way, is you retire to the couch. You get decrepit, you get sick, you get medicated, you get hospitalized, you get drugged, and you die. And that may be a process that takes months, a year, or years. Western medicine has an incredible array of machinery and chemicals and all kinds of things to keep you alive in a bed, drugged, on machines with oxygen. The quality of life of that, in my perspective, anyway, from my point of view, the quality of life there is exactly zip. It's zero. I used to joke with people that I would look at my peers and watch them getting old, and that my intention was to go kicking and flipping, screaming, and not get old, but grow older and continue to grow. And you do that, and you do that in all the aspects, okay, in all the components of every aspect of your life, mental, emotional, spiritual, and physical. You want to always be growing older, or as Mark Middleton says, growing bolder, which I love that, as opposed to just getting old. So again, back to that idea. You want to acknowledge the realities of life, but you want to really seek to optimize the opportunities of living. And what does that look like? It looks like saying yes to new things, saying yes to uncertainty. A lot of people I know refer to things as living in the question. To live in the question. What am I going to do next? And rather than answer that, just keep moving forward and see where that goes. Always looking for new opportunities. I think, and some of those can be big, some of them can be little. They can be just something as simple as taking on a reading habit that you've never had before in your life. Start to read. And I'll tell you what, I read a lot when I was younger, and I stopped reading as I grew older, and I have reinvigorated that. And it's really kind of funny. I've said this before, and I think I said it already tonight, but I'm a painfully slow reader. I have always been a painfully slow reader. I don't know why that is. I took a speed reading course once in college. That was 50 years ago, almost 50 years ago. And it did nothing. Well, actually, it taught me how to read fast, but as I read fast, I understood nothing. So there was no comprehension involved. My wife always likes to say I comprehend better than most people, but I'm not 100% sure that she's right. I would like to think that because I read so slow, I'm getting some advantage of comprehension. But reading is the way to expand your mind. It's a way to expand your concept of the universe, your concept of the world around you, your concept of your people around you. And I have this habit of, I will have 6 or 7 or 8 books going all at once with bookmarks in them. I'll be reading them all. But then once in a while, I'll get one like Growing Bolder, and all of a sudden everything else stops, and all my reading is just this one. Where I would love to sit down some nights in my backyard and just sit at the backyard table, the patio table, and read from 3 or 4 different books over the course of an hour and a half. I love that. You get a kind of a diversity of where your mind's going and what your mind's doing. One of the other things that I love is do a gratitude journal, or just do a journal. And I was, it's funny. I was making notes on this earlier today, and almost every night, I write at least 3 things I'm grateful for. I have a book, and I write down 3 things I'm grateful for. And then I have a little tiny pink book, actually, that a friend, 2 friends, a husband and wife, gave me at a Thanksgiving dinner. Everybody got a little diary kind of book, or journal kind of book, and they're very small. And mine was pink because they know pink and purple, just right here. Pink and purple are my favorite colors. So I got the pink one. Anyway, in that, I just write 1 page of kind of the highlights of the day, if you will. It's not particularly a journal in that I'm, talking about a whole lot of deep feelings, or I'm just talking about the highlights of the day. And a lot of that is how I felt about the things that I did that day. And as I was making the notes today, I realized I'm doing that ass backwards. What I really want to do is the journaling piece first. I want to write down the highlights of the day first. And from those, I will then get a better idea, if you will, of what I'm grateful for. And rather than writing down 3 gratitudes, I might wind up writing down 4, 5, 6, 7, who knows? But first, recount the day. And I'm starting to get a sense of, I really want to recount the day from the perspective of how have I been a beneficial presence? Who did I benefit today? How can I help someone today? How can I be a beneficial presence? And I think from that perspective, what I journal and what I write down and what I'm grateful for is very different because it's really about something bigger than me. And I think that's a really important piece is to engage in things that feel bigger than me, feel bigger than who I am. I hope you guys, I keep tapping my little lap desk here. I hope you guys aren't listening to that. And if you are, I'm sorry. I got to like do my little hands here. I have a tendency to talk too much with my hands. And on the StreamYard here, I think it almost looks like it's like, well, like trails from the old days. That's another story altogether. That's a whole nother workshop, kid. The other piece of the compressed morbidity thing is, and this idea that I'm talking about is to just embrace an idea of positive lifestyle modifications. And those can be any of the things I just mentioned, but they can be things that are big. They can be things that really are life-changing in a macro sense, if you will. They can be things around completely changing your diet. You know, are you eating things that you know are benefiting your body? Are you eating things that you know are the healthiest things to eat? Are you eating lots of sugar? Are you consuming lots and lots of dairy? Are you one of those people who goes to the refrigerator and opens the door and looks inside to see if there's anything to eat just because you're bored? That's a uniquely American habit. Because in other parts of the world, the whole family leaves the hut first thing in the morning and spends the rest of the day trying to accumulate enough food so everybody gets to have dinner that night. But in America, we look in the fridge because we're bored. But change your diet completely. You know, I think people are starting to understand in a very big way that we need to lean into a more plant-based diet. That we eat too much meat, in particular, too much red meat. And the red meat thing, that's almost a whole show in and of itself, as the inflammatory effects of red meat on your body, the inflammatory effects of producing red meat on our environment and on our planet. Amazing. And to my way of thinking, the moral issue of tormenting animals, and I mean in the sense of factory farming, tormenting animals for our food supply. Now, I totally get people who, you know, you raise some chickens or you raise a cow or sheep or whatever you raise, and occasionally one of them becomes the winter's freezer full. I get that. And there's no issue with that. I mean, we got to eat. And if that's how you feed your family and yourself, that's fabulous. But when we have thousands and thousands and thousands of chickens in particular in a building where you can't even breathe the air, it's so foul, and they never see the sun, and they're sick and they're pumped full of antibiotics and hormones and all kinds of stuff, just so we can get the fattest, plumpest, biggest breasted chicken on the planet to market, there's something really sick and twisted about that. Now, I'm sorry if that offends anybody, but that's my humble opinion. You don't have to agree with me, and that's fine. And if you've got questions or comments you want to make about that, my chat is almost always open. So just go ahead and comment away. But to me, it's just, again, it's a moral thing. If there are animals that we're going to eat that are out in the pasture, enjoying their lives, grazing on uncompromised, if you will, food, that nothing with no chemicals in it, no hormones, no antibiotics, no junk in there, no pesticides. If they're out there doing that, and occasionally somebody has to be dinner, it's kind of the way of the universe, isn't it? It's kind of the way of Mother Nature. Somebody's always got to be lunch. But to simply raise animals for that purpose in those ungodly conditions of factory farming, that's just flat out flipping wrong. Again, my opinion. Agree if you like, disagree, all day long, it's fine with me. Other things that you can change, big time. Positive lifestyle modifications. You can lean into better sleep, me on. Go, you have to go watch, see if it's working. All right. I don't know if you can hear me, if you can see me on the chat, on the comments, please let me know right now. My computer froze up and I just left and I came back and it says I'm still live. So I want to know that that's still happening. Can you hear me out there? This is an interesting turn of events. Anybody out there? Cheryl, Charmaine, Lisa, can you hear me? Can you see me? I am back. Yay! That was the weirdest thing ever. You know, and I don't know what happened there, but my computer froze. And to be honest with you guys, my computer is not the newest computer in the world. It's and it froze. And I think part of it was I have this little lap desk in front of me and I have a mouse on it. And as I talk and things shake and vibrate, the mouse kind of winds its way down towards the bottom of the screen. And I think what it did was pick up something out of my tray, and for some reason it froze everything up. But anyway, we appear to be back right now, and that's thank you. I am blessed. So we were talking about positive lifestyle modifications. We're talking about the food thing for a while there, and talking about sleep next. And sleep becomes problematic as in particular as we get a little bit older. Sleep will be a problem for people who drink too much. Sleep will be a problem for people who spend too much time in front of their screens too late at night. Sleep will be a problem for people with anxiety. Sleep will be a problem for all kinds of reasons. And I think I mentioned just before we went black there that if you were to Google sleep deprivation in America, you'll be blown away by the statistics. It's really mind-boggling that the enormous percentage of Americans walk around sleep deprived all the time. Sleep deprivation is a vicious cycle of stress because you're sleep deprived that leads to more sleep deprivation, which leads to more stress, which leads to all kinds of toxicity in your system and leads to disease. And of course, you know, disease eventually leads to dying. Lots of things you can do for sleep. I've tried lots of them myself over the years. My issue has never really been falling asleep. I wake up in the middle of the night, sometimes maybe to go to the bathroom, and I can't get back to sleep. I always refer to it as management nightmares. I would think about business and it just would not, my brain wouldn't quit. And I would have a tough time getting back to sleep. I would meditate myself back to sleep sometimes, pray myself back to sleep, all different things. But I've tried all of the things that I know to try, or all the things that I wanted to try, which would have been melatonin. Oh my goodness, I can't think of all the things I've tried. That's so funny. Lots of them. I've tried lots of them. You know, and thank you, Lisa. Lisa just posted in the comments here. One of the things that is endemic in America is the fact that weight loss is impeded by lack of sleep. And flip side of that is it also leads to weight gain, especially people who don't have good diets. They absolutely don't necessarily put themselves in a position to maintain a healthy weight. They wind up gaining weight in their sleep. They wind up they just wind up gaining weight in their sleep. So the things that I have tried over the years, I want you to know, and this is really funny. This is okay. So we've had a blackout, and now I've got a little bit of my seasonal allergy thing is going on a little bit here. So bear with me for a second. Just want to take care of that a little bit if I can. And what I really found is the absolute best solution for me has been CBD. Once again, my good old friend CBD. And it's an amazing stress reliever. First of all, CBD, a couple of things that CBD has effects on people that are almost universal. And those would be stress and anxiety, better sleep, and for most people, there is some pain relief as well, depending on what the pain is. And it's great for nerve pain, as I demonstrated with my sciatica, which we talked about earlier. But CBD helps just to relax the body. It moves us into that parasympathetic nervous system, that the rest and relax nervous system, as opposed to the fight, flight, or freeze nervous system, the sympathetic nervous system. And that just makes it easier for us to sleep. I also have, I'm I'm like a fanatic about going to sleep and staying asleep. I have a spray that I should have right here. I should have a tube of it with me, but it's a sublingual spray. It's just called sleep, and it works. Once in a blue moon, excuse me, if I'm having an issue, um, if I'm trying to, particularly if I'm trying to go to sleep and I've got a lot of stuff going on in my head, I'll have a GABA, 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 and I should be able to say what GABA stands for, and I can't. But GABA has a unique ability to just quiet the mind. So I use those things, and they're better than the things I have used in the past. And you know, it's really funny. The only one I can think of is melatonin, but there's other ones that I have used in the past that are natural sleep aids that really didn't work anywhere near as good as the things that I'm doing right now. What else can you do? You can engage in my favorite, DSP, daily spiritual practice. And what does that look like? That can look like anything. It can look like meditation, prayer work, affirmations. It can look like journaling once again. It can look like something that gets you feeling a little bit closer to your source, whatever that is, whatever that looks like. Something that gets you to just quiet the noise and quiet your mind. And what's the noise? The noise is everything. The noise is everything. It's your car, it's your friends, it's your kids, it's your spouse, it's your job, it's your schoolwork, it's your camping trip, it's your vacation, it's everything is the noise. It's all the flipping noise, and it's all very, very loud. And in a great many instances, it puts us in that parasympathetic nervous system, that fight, flight, or freeze nervous system, or it just gets us in a state of that living a life of quiet desperation, where we just go from day to day to day to day to day. My friend Barry Ebert wrote a song. I can't remember the name of the song, but the line of the song that I love is, "You go from work to bar to bed and back again." That gets to be a lifestyle for an awful lot of people. So engage your better sleep. Find a way to sleep better. The next one is, oh, by the way, that if you get into a meditation practice, meditation will absolutely help you to develop a sense of resiliency. And by resiliency, I mean just the ability to deal with what I call the vicissitudes of life, everything that goes on day to day that just makes life a challenge. You can't wait for life to be better or to be less difficult before you make the decision to be happy. You have to develop the tools to embrace the happiness first. People ask me that all the time. Why are you always in such a good mood? Why are you always so happy? And the answer is really simple. It's a decision I make before I get out of bed in the morning, with some affirmations that I say before I even get up. But then it's my daily spiritual practice, which really, my daily spiritual practice today was a short one. This is kind of funny. Today was 58 minutes for my meditation, prayer work, and affirmations. It's the first time it's been under an hour in like 10 days. I don't know why it went to an hour. I don't know why I got to an hour. It used to be 45 minutes. But I think I have kind of dived in a little bit deeper into the things that I consider to be my meditation and my prayer work. And it helps me to be, again, resilient. It helps me to just feel good about whatever's going on in the world. So whatever is going on, I can help myself make it feel better, if that makes sense. Another piece to be a really positive lifestyle modification is to spend more time in nature. This past Sunday, my beloved Lisa and I went up to just a little open space. Actually, it's a very huge open space park that really goes up the front side of a mountain here in the foothills. And we were up at the top of it. And at the top of it, we had met a couple of friends and had a picnic. That's the second week in a row we did that. Actually, we enjoy the picnics because it's a great way to just end the day, Go sit in nature and have your meal. And maybe sometimes we'll bring our camp chairs and we'll just read for a while. I think it was this one we did 2 weeks ago. I think basically it was around sunset, and we the two of us just sat and stared at the sunset. Thank you, Lisa. Lisa just posted a great affirmation here that really plays into what we're talking about. I am resilient, courageous, and resourceful. Affirmations like that will help you to build that resilience again, to feel more like you are in charge, that you are creating your life, than life is being created for you. And always, that's another one. Always remember that life is never happening to you. Life is always happening for you. Doesn't matter what it looks like in the moment. It could look like suck in the moment, but it's always happening for you. And the last one I'm going to talk about here is movement. That's a huge positive lifestyle modification. Movement is enormous. Movement is the thing that I went to when I first got sober almost 33 years ago. The first thing I embraced was going back to lifting weights that I did when I was a teenager. And that has happened, that habit has continued with me for the better part of these 33 years. And it's something now, because of what's going on in my spine, and because I'm getting older, and because I'm starting to realize that if you want to keep moving, you got to keep moving. I'm embracing working out pretty much 5 days a week. Hi, Jamie. I am thrilled to see your name there. Glad you joined us, and I'm glad you're liking us. That's very cool. Thank you. And another thing I'm doing, and this is, the joys of technology. The internet, yes, the internet is a sewer. No two ways about that. But there are a lot of positive aspects to it. I have spent a lot of time just looking up exercises for people in my age group, people over 50, people over 60, people over 70. One of the most surefire ways to forestall the aging process without question or a doubt is to continue to build lean muscle tissue on your body till the day you die. And it doesn't get easier as you get older, because as you get older, there is a thing called sarcopenia. Sarcopenia it sounds like a disease, but it really is just age-related muscle loss. Depending on how sedentary you are, you can lose as much as 1% a year of your lean muscle to fat. I hear people all the time who are getting older, who are saying, you know what, my weight hasn't changed in 20 years, but all of a sudden I'm fat. That's because they lost their lean muscle tissue, and it just became fat tissue. Didn't just become fat tissue. That's a kind of one doesn't become the other. One fat accumulates because muscle tissue is depleted, because muscle burns more fat, more calories just being there. Recently, I stumbled on this video. You hear people all the time talk about, well, you know what? I'll get in shape. I'll start working out. I'm going to join a gym next month, or I'm going to join a gym in 6 months, or I'm going to go out and buy a set of weights, or I'm going to get a Nordic track or a Bowflex, or I'm going to get this, that, or the other thing. And normally what happens is nothing. So there's lots and lots of things you can do that don't require any equipment. And I found this extraordinary video the other day. Guy doing exercises on body weight exercises, and the purpose was to burn calories. Burning calories requires that you do what's called complex exercises. Complex exercises, in a nutshell, are just simply you're working many muscle groups. It's not like doing curls with weights where you're pretty much working your bicep, or you turn your hand over, you're working your tricep. They're exercises that use big chunks of your muscle tissue, whole areas of your muscles. So the first one is maybe the simplest exercise in history, which is the squat. All of your lower body gets involved in the squat. Now, when I do the squat, when I get to the lower part of the squat, I also put my arms out and then bring them down. I'm not going to demonstrate exercise for you here. You're just going to have to get the picture. But I put my arms up when I'm down, and then put them at my sides when I come back up again. And the next exercise he came up with is the push-up. Now, push-ups can be a challenge for a lot of people. If you don't have a whole lot of upper body strength, a push-up can be a challenge. So you just do a push-up where instead of being in a full push-up position where you're on, on your palms and your toes, do your palms and your knees and just do a push-up from there. And the last one is a little bit more of a challenging exercise, I think, and that is the lunge. And the lunge is where you lunge one leg out in front of the other leg and then stand and then lunge back. And that's a big exercise, and it exercises a whole hell of a lot more than you think it does. But what I started doing was 3 sets of 10 each, 10 squats, 10 push-ups, 10 lunges. And the lunges, by the way, are lunge with the left foot, back, lunge with the right foot, back. That's 1. Lunge with the left foot, back, lunge with the right foot, back. That's 2. So do 3 sets of 10 of each of those. Now I'm here to tell you, the first time I did it, I thought I was really working good on my legs and taking care of myself. I do a lot of walking. Cheryl's commenting here that she walks. My beloved Lisa and I, we walk a lot. We start almost every Sunday morning with an hour and 10, hour and 15-minute walk before breakfast even. Walking is great for you, and I do a lot of exercise. I lift a lot of weights, and I do a lot of squats actually. But I did these 3 sets of 10 of just 10 squats, push-ups, lunges. And the next day I was sore and stiff. Today was the 3rd day that I've done them, and I feel great, and I feel energized, and it's helping to build up my core muscles. And building up your core muscles is what helps to keep you upright and walking and talking as you age. You see lots and lots of people in their 60s and 70s and 80s hunched over and bent over, and a good deal of that is because of basically no core strength. That's basically it. There's other things that go into that, but if their core were strong, if their glutes and their lower back and their abdominals were all strong, and their quadriceps and their hamstrings, they would be standing up straight, more likely than not. And the last one that I want to add to that is for those who can do it. Not everybody, as we get a little older, not everybody can do these, and some people who maybe have a lot of weight challenges can't do these. But jumping jacks are just a phenomenal exercise. Jumping jacks, named after the very famous and very amazing Jack LaLanne. Jack LaLanne died in his middle 90s, and again, compressed morbidity. He got a case of pneumonia, I believe it was, and died. But Jack was, I think, look this up, see if I'm right or wrong. But I think Jack swam, I want to say pulling 90 rowboats or something on his 90th birthday. Some crazy, he celebrated his birthday every year by doing some crazy swimming thing that reflected his age. And I think it was swimming, pulling rowboats behind him. I think that was it. But he did that until he was a very old man. Jack LaLanne was on TV. He had the first fitness show ever. And I watched him every day when I came home from school. I can't tell you what grade I was in. I was very, very young. It was grammar school. And Jack LaLanne was on. He had his little jumpsuit that he wore every single day. And he talked about health and wellness and eating right and movement before anybody else even had a clue. Jack LaLanne was talking about it. Jumping jacks are named after Jack, and they are a phenomenal exercise. Not only more so than the squats and the push-ups and the lunges, the jumping jacks also have a tremendous aerobic component to them, so that you're really helping your wind when you're doing them as well. You get up when, not now, wait till the show's over, but as soon as the podcast is over, get up and do 20 jumping jacks and see if that doesn't change how you feel tomorrow. You'll be stiff. There'll be parts of you that go, oh boy, we haven't exercised this in a while, but it'll make a difference. So there's some body weight exercises. So you don't need to get into buying equipment. You don't need to have gym memberships. You don't need to join the Y. You don't need to join a hiking or running group. All you got to do is get out of bed and do some exercises. Do some exercises before you eat. You will burn up excess glucose that has been in your body overnight that you digested from the night before. You'll burn up that excess glucose. None of that glucose will be turned into fat. It'll be gone. And you will also find yourself losing weight. Some other positive lifestyle modifications. These are really, really, really simple ones. If you smoke, stop. If you drink, moderate. That's all. I'm sober for almost 33 years. Why? Because I knew nothing about moderation. I am the perfect example of one drink is not enough and two is too many. That was pretty much who I was back in the day. It's kind of who I am with everything. I'm just, I have I kind of have an addictive personality. I mean, I'm the same way with popcorn. You know, two pieces are not enough, and two pieces is too much, and a whole bowl is not enough. I mean, that's just who I am. That's why I don't have chocolate in the house, except for I've I've actually totally convinced myself that 70% dark chocolate is health food. So we'll have a couple of those bars around the house, and I've gotten very good at only eating like 2 squares of a bar. But that's taken years of practice, because previously I couldn't have chocolate in my house, because if I had it, one bite was not enough, and the whole bar. I'm sorry, one bite was too much, and the whole bar was not enough. It's just the way I was. Another thing, one more piece of this puzzle to make you just feel better, make your life smoother, easier. My beloved Lisa and I have been looking at our next home. Basically, we live in a 3-story townhouse. I don't know what we were thinking when we bought it 3 years ago, but I don't like going up and down 3 flights of stairs. My office is on the first floor, the lower floor. Our bedroom is on the 3rd floor. God forbid I go to bed at night and forget something down in my office. Not the same. And we actually live in more of a city environment than we're used to. We really would rather be more in a country environment. So we're thinking about where we're going. And one of the things we realized is that even though we decluttered a lot, we got rid of a lot of stuff when we moved here 3 years ago. We got a bunch of crap. We all have too much stuff. And so we're starting to get rid of stuff. And you know what? There's a tremendous feeling of liberation. I'll give you a couple of examples. I had 8 2-foot by 4-foot plastic folding tables that I used in an office that I closed 15 years ago. Now, I've used a couple of those tables at different events for displays, and it just occurs to me now that I won't be able to do that anymore, but that's okay. And those things went on a shelf that I built in our garage. Overhead were stacked these 8 tables. We put them up for sale on the Facebook Marketplace. Excuse me. Brand new, these tables will cost you $70, $69.95. Brand new. We asked $25 a piece. We sold all 8 tables in 2 days for $200. We have a tent. We have 2 tents. We have Lisa's tent, which is a little, kind of one of those little dome tents. Sleeps 2 people. If you want to, if you can get dressed on your knees, great. If not, dress outside. I had a tent, a Wenzel canvas tent. It is actually a tent they still make, the identical tent. They still make it. It's called the Vintage Classic. It is a frame outside the tent. It is 8 by 10. It's 7 foot in the center. You can stand up in there and get dressed. Hell, you can dance in there. It'll sleep 4 people incredibly comfortably. It can sleep 6 people if a couple of them are kids pretty easily. I bought that tent 40 years ago at a yard sale. It was used for $30. So that tent is somewhere between 40 and 45 years old, at least. And I've had to make a couple of repairs on it over the years, but it hasn't been set up to sleep in over 20 years, or right about 20 years. Lisa and I set it up in the common area around our townhouse here, and we looked at it and we checked it out, and we played with it and made sure everything worked and all the parts are there. The original instructions are in there. There's a patch kit in there. There are all the stakes. There's everything you need is in there. And we put it on the Facebook Marketplace. We didn't get a whole lot of hits on it, which was kind of weird. And yesterday, a young couple wanting to go camping did the research. They found out it was a $360 tent online. Brand new. They trusted our integrity and our honesty around the tent. They came and bought it for $75. I actually made a profit of 45 bucks at a tent 40 years later on that silly tent. But both of those things, the tables and the tent, those are the only things we've really gotten rid of. But we put that money with $275, actually $295, because we sold another table to one of the people who bought four of the plastic tables. That money's in a vacation account. We're going to Hawaii at the end of the month. There you go. There's some spending money for Hawaii. Gotta love that. But the feeling of liberation, of decluttering, of getting rid of that stuff, that was just fabulous. It just feels so good to unclutter. And as Cheryl commented here in the comments that we all have too much stuff. We do. My next thing is Gene Chancho. How are you, buddy? It's good to see you there. Okay, so he just put on his 90th birthday, Jack LaLanne swam pulling boats across Long Beach Harbor with handcuffs on. But he passed on having birthday cake. Of course he would, because he ate healthy. But my next thing is, in this townhouse, we have two beautiful walk-in closets. And COVID, this being confined to the house has taught me a couple of things. I don't need half the clothes I own. There are clothes in my closet I have not worn in 2 years. This shirt has not been worn in at least a year because I just didn't want to do laundry for clothes I didn't need during the winter. I was wearing a t-shirt and a fleece pullover almost the whole winter. Almost the whole year. That was pretty much my outfit. So declutter. Get rid of your stuff. My clothes are the next thing that are going to go. So there's I hope those are all positive messages for you today. I hope those helped. I want to put up a couple of things here. I want you to see that there's I don't know why I even put these up, but this is the name of the show. Well, you know that you're here. It's the Vibrant Living Hour. This is our Facebook page. My beloved Lisa and I are branded as Vibrant Aging. Okay. And I think we have to update that because it really is. It's got to go more with the show. It's got to be the Vibrant Living, Vibrant Aging. And that's what we're going to change it to here, I think, eventually. We also have here that's pretty funny. I'm doing this all myself. I don't have a producer, so I'm doing this all myself. This is my email address here at New Thought Media, ken@newthoughtmedia.org. That one is, I'm not connected to that yet. So you might be better off if you want to reach me at teamrocketnow@gmail.com. That's where I am there. And last but not least here, we are a nonprofit organization, and this network is growing by leaps and bounds. And I hope those of you who pay attention get that we're just bringing you more and more and more incredible content. I hope you love Vibrant Living Hour. If you do, please go to ntmedia.org, click on donate. Literally, we don't care what you donate, as little or as much as you possibly can. We are very grateful for every contribution we get. That's newthoughtmedia.org, ntmedia.org. Click on donate, and we'd be thrilled to have whatever you would be willing to give us. That would be a big deal to us. I am moving in a direction of bringing you some guests. I hope that will be people who reflect what this show is all about, which is living your absolute best life, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and physically, and to embrace the idea of living healthier, stronger, better, longer. And that doesn't start when you're in your 60s and 70s. It starts when you're in your 20s and 30s. So I hope you're following what I have to say, and I hope it makes sense to you, and I hope you like it. I hope you enjoy it, and I hope you get value from what I have to say here. We live in a very interesting world, and there are any number of entities, things, venues, philosophies, ideas, theories that would haul you into a space of fear, doubt, negativity. Don't go there. Fear, the only thing that fear kills is life. Anytime you find yourself in fear, go to one of these things we're talking about. Go to a daily spiritual practice. Go to affirmations. Go to, as Lisa's affirmation is still around here, I'm going to have to scroll up to Lisa's affirmation because I loved it. Her affirmation is, I am resilient, courageous, and resourceful. What a great affirmation. Do that as opposed to being in fear. One of the great things in my life was the learning that I am totally in charge of what those thoughts are going to be. And if you are, my definition of awareness really is, here is my fear thought. Here is the positive thought that makes that fear go away. And awareness is closing the gap in time between the occurrence of those two thoughts, so that eventually, I don't even know what fear is. I'd like to say that's my reality, but that's not true. But what I am good at is recognizing the fear and moving my thought processes to that positive thing that negates the fear, that makes the fear go away. It's a great exercise. It's a great thing to do. And it will help you to, once again, deal with the vicissitudes of life, to develop that resiliency that I think is so very important in these interesting times. And I'll finish with these interesting times. I take that from the old Chinese saying, "May you live in interesting times." And what I have always said is, depending on your point of reference and depending on where you're at in the world, that can either be a blessing or a curse. And I think in most instances, it's both. But I think if you embrace the idea of may you live in interesting times as things being positive and interesting to you, not interesting in a negative sense, not interesting in a oh crap sense, but interesting in a wow, isn't that interesting sense, I think you'll learn to enjoy your life a whole lot more. Even if you love it now, don't be afraid to take it to another level. That's all we got for you this week. I am so grateful, as always, for the incredible gift of your time and your attention. I wish you all the love and blessings the universe has to offer. I hope you will join me next Thursday at 3 o'clock. Tell your friends, have them tune in. The shows are all recorded on the New Thought Media Facebook page, on all of my Facebook pages that you can find me on, Making Out Alive, Coach Ken, Vibrant Aging, and my own Ken Ludwig page. The show is all stored on all of those pages. And so you can find it anytime you want. If you can't watch live, you can always catch it then. So again, I hope you'll catch me the next time. Until then, namaste.